Hello, welcome all to Weekend Quadrant. Today we will explore the fascinating world of cell, the basic building blocks of all living organisms. Let's dive into the cell biology. What this video covers, the this in this video we will cover the basic cell theory and the basic concept. What is cell? The types of the cell, the major cell organelles and their function, and the plant specific organelles and the animal specific organelles, and lastly we will also discuss about the difference between the animal and the plant cell. Okay, next. Now we have to know the definition of the cell. A cell is the smallest basic unit of the life that carry out all life process independently. Okay, all life process independently, and it is the structural, functional, and the biological unit of all living organisms. And what are the characteristics of the cell? The cell are the building blocks of all living things. I have told you earlier that it is the building block of all living things, and the cell has a cell membrane that control what enters within the cell and what leaves out of the cell. Okay. Mm, like there in the animal cell, uh, the cell membrane. Here is the cell membrane. Here is, let me erase it. Here is the cell membrane. Okay, and in case of the plant cell, there is the plasma membrane, or you can say that cell membrane. And in case of the bacterial cell, there is also plasma membrane present. Okay, and now the cell also contains the genetic material or the DNA in the nucleus, and DNA is present in the nucleus of the cell. They perform all the life functions such as the metabolism, growth, and the reproduction, and the other characteristics. And the cell have the other characteristics. The organisms, like the organisms, can be multicellular or the unicellular based on the number of the cell. When there is a single cell present, that is that time the organisms will call as unicellular organism, and when there is the many cell or the multiple cell present in the organism, that time the organism will call the multicellular organism. Okay, next. Types of the cell. There are mainly two types of the cell based on the presence or the absence of the nucleus. Based on the presence and the absence of the nucleus, there are the two types of the cell. Okay, what are the cells? These are the prokaryotic cell and the eukaryotic cell. Nucleus. In the prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is absent, and in case of the eukaryotic cell, the nucleus is present. Cell size. Cell size. Prokaryotic cell is the smaller than the eukaryotic cell, and the eukaryotic cell is the comparatively larger than the prokaryotic cell. Um, Cell type, always unicellular, and it can be unicellular, or sometimes it can be multicellular. Organelles, no membrane bound organelles, and the membrane bound organelles are the present DNA structure. DNA is circular, DNA is the linear, and other characteristic, other difference also have, uh, like the example, the prokaryotic cell is found in the bacteria or archaea, and eukaryotic cell is found in plant, animals, fungi, protists, etc. And flagella simpler and the smaller, and eukaryotic cell, the flagella is complex and larger. Reproduction, both it complete its reproduction through the asexual binary fission, that is the asexual method, and it completes its reproduction through both asexual and the sexual method. In case of the sexual, it depend on meiosis and the mitosis. Okay, now the major cell organelle. There are mainly five major cell organelle, that are the nucleus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, and the ribosome, that are found in both animal and the plant cell. Okay, what are the definition of the nucleus? The nucleus is the controller center. The nucleus is large membrane-bound organelle that contain the cell genetic material or the DNA. It controls the cellular activity, including growth, metabolism, and the reproduction. Now, what are the characteristics of the nucleus? It is surrounded by a double membrane or the nuclear envelope with pores that regulate the passage of molecule between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Okay, all the cell organelles float in the cytoplasm. Okay, uh, nucleus is surrounded by double membrane. Double membrane here, the nuclear envelope, one membrane, and the second membrane, this membrane, second membrane, double membrane, and here are the nuclear pore on the nuclear envelope. Okay, the contain the chromatin. It also contain the chromatin. What is the chromatin? There is a chromatin and the houses the nucleus, nucleolus. Sorry, nucleolus. Here is the nucleolus and the control the cell function. I said you earlier that growth, metabolism, and the reproduction. Contain the nucleoplasm, gel-like substance that support the chromatin and the nucleolus. Uh, inside of the cell there is the cytoplasm, gel-like matrix, and inside of the nucleus there is a gel-like substance that is called the nucleoplasm. Okay, that are the gel-like plasm that are called the nucleoplasm. In generally, the largest cell organelle on the eukaryotic cell and the act like the cell command center. It is the largest cell organelle. So, what we have to remember that what are the largest organelle inside the eukaryotic cell? That is the nucleus. Okay. Now, mitochondria. The mitochondria is also like a nucleus founded by two membrane or double membrane and found in the cytoplasm of almost all eukaryotic cell. It is also known as the powerhouse of the cell and it produces the ATP or the adenosine triphosphate through the cellular respiration. Okay. Now, what are the characteristics of the mitochondria? Mitochondria has a double membrane, have a double membrane, and it contains their own DNA or the ribosomes. Here is the mitochondrial DNA and here is the ribosome and the inner fold that is called the cristae houses the machinery for the ATP production. Inner fold that is called the cristae. Here is the inner fold uh, that helps in the production of the ATP, and the matrix inside the inner membrane contain the enzyme for the Krebs cycle and the mitochondrial DNA. It also play a role in the cell signaling, growth, apoptosis or the cell death and the calcium storage. We can assume mitochondria as a father because mitochondria generate the ATP or energy the cell need to function and much like that is much like a father traditionally support provides the family energy and the resources and nucleus is nucleus as mother because the nucleus store the genetic information or the DNA and the control the cell function similar how a mother often organizes the and manages organize and manage the family activities and future. Okay. Now the endoplasmic reticulum or ear, the network of membranous tubule or the sac that connect to the nuclear envelope and involved in the protein and the lipid synthesis. So basically, endoplasmic reticulum is connected to the nuclear envelope. In this figure, it is connected to the here. It is connected to the nuclear envelope, and it involved in the protein and the lipid synthesis. And what are the characteristics of the endoplasmic reticulum? It There are the two types of the endoplasmic reticulum. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum, another one is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum has the ribosome, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum does not have ribosome. The rough endoplasmic reticulum synthesize and modify the protein, and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum synthesize lipid, detoxify chemical, and the store calcium. And it helps transport and synthesize the molecule to the Golgi apparatus. Okay. Now the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is basically a processing center. It modify, sort, and the packages the protein from the modify the protein and lipid received from the endoplasmic reticulum. And what are the characteristics? It has distinct cis and trans phases. Cis means entry phase, and the trans is the exit phase. And modify the protein and the packages the molecule into the vesicle and the transport to their destination and the involved in synthesizing some polysaccharide in plant. Okay, that is the transport vesicle that is transported from the Golgi apparatus and now it is moving forward to their destination. Okay, now the ribosome, the small structure made of the RNA and the protein responsible for the protein synthesis. It is basically a small structure that is responsible for the protein synthesis. Okay, what are the characteristics? It is made of the two subunit. One is the large and another one is the small. The upper one is the large subunit and lower one is the small subunit. They found in the free cytoplasm or attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, essential for the cell function and the structure. Okay, now next. Now the plant specific cell organelle. The plant specific cell organelle, the first one is the chloroplast. The chloroplast is basically a double membrane organelle found in the plant cell and some algae, and responsible for the photosynthesis and the process of converting the light energy into the chemical energy. So basically, what is chloroplast? Chloroplast is the site where the photosynthesis occurs, and it converted the light energy into the chemical energy. And what are the characteristics? It contains the green pigment that is called the chlorophyll, and the which captured the sunlight and have the internal stacks of membrane that is called the thylakoid and in grana, where the light dependent reaction take place. In the thylakoid, the light dependent reaction take place, and the fluid surrounding the thylakoid, that is called the stroma, uh, site of the Kelvin cycle, where the light independent reaction take place. Okay. Now the cell wall. Cell wall. What is cell wall? It is also a distinctive feature of the plant cell that is basically not found in the animal cell. It give the protection, give the shape to the cell and the structural support to the cell. Okay. Now the large central vacuole. It is also a distinctive feature of the plant cell. It is a sac-like organelle filled with cell sap, and mainly for the storage of water and the nutrient and the waste material in the plant cell. It occupies the large portion of the cell volume and giving the cell its shape. Okay, it also helps in the cell growth by absorbing the water and the expanding. Now next, now the animal specific cell organelle. First one is the lysosome. Lysosome is a are membrane bound with the spherical sac found mainly in the animal cell that contain the hydrolytic enzyme responsible for the digestive cellular waste, debris, and the foreign substance. So basically, lysosome is a digestive sac containing the enzyme to break down the waste and the cellular debris. It is a sac that contain the enzyme that break down the waste and the cellular debris. Okay. Uh, and what is the centrosome or the centriole? Centriole is a centrosome is a microtubule organizing center near the nucleus in the animal cell, and consisting of two centrioles arranged perpendicularly. It plays a vital role in the cell division. Plays a vital role in the cell division. Centriole or the centrosome is basically organizes the microtubule during the cell division, that are their function. And the characteristics, the centriole or the cylindrical structure made of the 9 triplet of microtubule arranged in a ring. There is arranged in a ring like structure. And during the cell division, mitosis or the meiosis, centrosome helps in organizing the mitotic spindle fiber that separate the chromosome, that are their main function, to form the spindle fiber during the cell division. Okay, that is absent in the most plant cell but present in the most animal cell. Now next, now the difference between the plant cell and the animal cell. Plant and the animal cell share many organelles but differ in key ways. The plant cell, the cell wall and chloroplast and the large central vacuole, but the animal cell also have the lysosome and the centriole, which the plant cell don't have. And also, the shape of the plant cell is the rectangular, and animal cell is irregular or the rounded, and the cell wall is present. We have already told that the plant cell have the cell wall, animal cell basically don't have the cell wall, and the plasma membrane present beneath the cell wall or the present, and the chloroplast is present in the plant cell, and that is absent in the animal cell. Vacuoles. One large central vacuole is present in the plant cell, and there is the small vacuole in the animal cell. Lysosome in the plant cell. In case of the plant cell, the lysosome is rare, and animal cell, it is commonly present in the animal cell. Centriole are absent in case of the plant cell, and In the animal cell, it is present and important for the cell division. We have already read that the centriole form the spindle fiber during the cell division. Nucleus usually at the site, and because there is a large central vacuole in the plant cell, so the nucleus is usually at the site and usually is in the center in case of the animal cell. And the mitochondria is present, and the fewer in number, and the animal cell present and the numerous, and other difference. It have all the other difference. And here is the figure of the animal cell and the plant cell. Okay, thank you for watching. Feel free to comment your question or topic you would like to see next. See you in the next video. Tata, bye bye.